Hey everybody, welcome back to the Outer Rim Rookie, a beginner's journey to join the 501st and Rebel Legion. My name is Rob Williams. Today's another short video on how to build Ree Yees' belt. This was a little bit tricky because, like everything on Ree Yees, there's not a lot of information. So I really dug into the research on this one. So in this episode, I'm going to show you the CRL, or the Costume Reference Library, the research I did into this belt, and how I built it. So let's get to it. Here we go. To start, the CRL states that the belt is leather or leather-like. It has two silver boxes attached to the belt on the left and right in front of the hip, and has two black poppers at the front. This was pretty vague, so I dug deep into the internet to find pictures of his belt. And as I've said in the past, this is very difficult to do because he's such an obscure character. So I decided to pop on a movie and see if I could find something there. And what I discovered surprised me. The first thing I noticed was that Ree Yees' belt is not designed the way I thought it was. I used to think his two poppers were located at the center of the belt with the edges hidden somewhere. However, after watching the videos, the poppers are located just a couple inches from the edge of the belt, and the belt edge is in view. The second thing I noticed, which was very strange, was that the belt was flipping upside down depending on how you look at it. Sometimes the boxes are pointing up in one scene, sometimes they're pointing down, sometimes the belt was on the left, sometimes the belt was on the right. I assume it comes down to the fact that they're just background characters. Many different actors are playing many different parts, and attention to detail with them was not a priority as it was with the main cast. So I decided to have the boxes point upwards and my belt open like I normally do, pointing towards the left side. My friend Terry Chu from Panda Props was kind enough to build me a 3D printed model of a belt box that the other Imperial officers or Death Squad commanders use. It's just a little thicker to pair better with my thicker costume and my larger frame. I then used some thin craft foam to add shape to the boxes and to match the ones that Ree Yees wears. Once the foam was glued on and dried, I sprayed it with a gray primer, then followed it up with metallic silver spray paint. However, I hit a roadblock. Even though I allowed the boxes to dry properly overnight, I noticed it was not setting properly and producing small air bubbles. So I sanded it down and tried again. And then again. And then again. It was at this point I was getting frustrated. But then I realized what I had done wrong. I did not use a primer of wood glue to prevent the air from escaping the foam. So back to the drawing board. I primed it with wood glue, add the gray primer, then add the silver spray paint, and I also decided to add a final layer of matte finish to seal it all in. Finally, success. In hindsight, I also should have used a heat gun to close the pores, but redoing the box 4 times was enough for me, and it still looked great. The belt was a lot easier to put together. I purchased a thick 2-inch wide leather belt from Tandy Leather in Surrey. I laid out the measurements that I felt best matched the way it looked in the movie, and started punching holes. I inserted the long stem black poppers, hammered them to the backing, and it was good to go. I also purchased some industrial strength Velcro to keep the belt in place. I did this instead of snaps because it allowed a little more wiggle room in length if I gain or lose weight. I then slide on the boxes, which I firmly attached with 2-inch black elastic to the back. And the belt and boxes are complete. So there it is. Very straightforward, kinda. I'm pretty proud of this. I'm pretty happy how it turned out. Like I said, I was very nervous about cutting the belt, the leather, and committing to it. And there's probably going to be some little updates that need to be done once I get the tunic together, so I get the proper sizing. But I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I'm thinking it looks pretty damn accurate to the real thing. The one thing I'll probably add later down the road is a little bit of Velcro underneath the buttons and on the belt itself, just so it doesn't flap around a bit. Keep it a little more tight to the belt. But those are the little tweaks I'll do once the tunic is done. So, another thing off the list, inching closer and closer to completing the costume. Hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Help us grow, help us get to 400. And stay tuned for another video. This costume is nearly done. Thanks for watching. And remember, armor and belts are built on hope. Bye.